driving another Honda engine Williams. Third fastest from Austria, but more importantly, driving an Italian red Ferrari, Gerhard Berger. Fourth fastest is Ayrton Senna from Brazil. He's driving the Camel Lotus Honda. And then fifth fastest, the reigning world champion, Alain Prost with his Marlboro McLaren tag. Sixth fastest, Terry Boutsen, closely followed by Theo Fabi, his teammate with the Benetton Fords. Then come a couple of more Italians. Michele Alboreto, the team leader of Ferrari, is eighth fastest. Ninth fastest, Riccardo Patrese, driving the Brabham BMW with his own teammate, Andrea De Cesaris, 10th fastest. 11th is Johansson, 12th is Warwick, then comes Cheever, Nakajima, Arnoud, Danner, Brundle, Nannini, Hinzani, Campos, Caffey, Jonathan Palmer, Alio, Streth, Capelli, and a new driver is Farini. So that makes up the starting grid for the Italian Grand Prix. And here you see them still forming here, a mammoth crowd. The temperature about 86 degrees here. Ideal weather conditions for racing. Very little wind indeed. And as I said earlier, a great partisan crowd have come out. It doesn't matter if Italian drivers do well here. What is more important is if a Ferrari does well here. And of course that is highly expected because Berger is third fastest on the grid and Alboreto will be competitive. The racetrack itself is in the Royal Park of Monza, and you can see an outline of it. The grandstands are in the bottom center to right of your picture, and that's the front stretch itself where they get up to speeds of about 213 miles an hour before going towards a new set of chicanes. Those chicanes to slow the cars down before getting to the very famous Curvo Grande. It was this corner in the past that really sorted out the men from the boys. Another chicane before you get to the Lesmos, again famous corners. Then through a left-hand curve, another fast part of the racetrack, getting up to 213 in qualifying, before a new set of chicanes. It used to be a left-hand bend called the Ascari, heading down towards the Curvo Parabolica, the south turn here, which is a long corner taken in fourth gear as they go around here in a 6-speed gearbox and accelerating up past the start-finishing line. The cars themselves are ready to move away here, and this, the Italian Grand Prix, a very famous race indeed it is. Innis Islands alongside me here, John Bisignano's in the pit. We're going to try and bring you your Race Day America coverage from Monza. It's certainly a good day for racing. In Innis, we have to look towards those Williams cars still being the most competitive.
Oh yes, I mean here they're really way ahead, and the surprise to me is that on the first showing of the active suspension Williams, it's a second and a half quicker than the Lotus active suspension, and they've been running it all year.
Well, this gives you some idea of the creativity of the Patrick Head design factor in the Williams team. Now, down to our pits and John Bisignano.
Thank you, Jackie. It's been a very clean start so far to this Italian Grand Prix. Everyone off the grid, as you have seen. The only problems, unfortunately, is with the Brabham team. They have qualified well this weekend in 9th and 10th position. Unfortunately, they are using one spare car for Andrea De Cesaris, and Patrese has a fuel leak. They are actually cannibalizing another car in the pits to try and fix that fuel leak at the 1-minute board. So we'll have to watch Patrese very carefully. Ayrton Senna said everything perfect. Very unusual for us. So he's happy. Tyrrell said the only thing wrong around here is all the press asking me if there's anything wrong. So it's a good shape down here so far from the pits, Jackie.
Okay, John, so here we are. The cars coming through the Lesmo curves right now in the back end of the circuit. Again, heavily populated out there. And down to the new chicane heading towards, this was the Ascari bend, and it was here that the great Alberto Ascari, not the father but the son, died in the 50s after going into the water of Monte Carlo in one of the races there. He came out recovered, came back just to try somebody else's car and died around what this part of the racetrack that you're looking at today. Okay, now this of course is a 3.6 mile lap. It's 51 laps all the way around. It's got about 12 corners per lap, and the pole position time averaged 155.454 miles an hour. A very fast track indeed. This is the Parabolica, and you will see the potential of passing going in here under braking.
One of the things, Jackie, is that they've resurfaced about 1/3 of the track, and the new surface is rather more abrasive, and during practice Goodyear found that they were getting a lot more blistering than usual.
Well, the blistering, of course, is used by the cars slipping a lot, and this racetrack being resurfaced is what you would call a green racetrack, not used, so therefore there's not a lot of grip and not a lot of coefficient of friction there being used up. And this can happen. We're expecting a tyre stop in this race. We're expecting the leaders to come in the first 22 to 25 lap area. We would expect Nelson Piquet to come in, for example. Piquet in the active suspension, Williams, and of course Mansell in the traditional passive suspension. The bombshell that Innes Ireland talked about earlier, the fact that the Williams are losing the Honda, I just don't understand Honda's philosophy about this. It seems crazy. Here are their cars, pole position and second fastest, and yet Honda are taking the engines away. The cars coming in now to starters' orders. Remember, it's a staggered grid. The cars all must come to a complete stop before the official starter will put on the red light, which you will see in the top left-hand side of your corner of your screen. Then, of course, behind there is a battery of police and medical cars. Professor Watkins, neurosurgeon, will be traveling in one of those. The great old grandstand here at Monza. And we're now waiting for the start of the Italian Grand Prix. Cars are all stopped. This is a long pause, a very long pause. They've got double yellow flags being shown. And a red flag. There is a problem. They're calling the race start off. It must be one of the drivers. I see them all running to about the sixth fastest. That looks like Patrese.
Yeah, there's smoke. I think he might be on fire in his turbo.
Is it down to you, John? Is it you down in the pits? Can you tell the story?
Jackie, we are just opposite the Brabham, and there was a definite fire right at the back of the Brabham car. That was that fuel leak we were talking about. Obviously, they did not get it right. The whole system worked. The gentleman with the flag next to Patrese kept that flag up, so the light went back to red. It has never started so far, so we do not have to wait the half hour, only until this situation is cleared up.
Thank you, John. Well, you can see a frustrated Riccardo Patrese now. He's speaking clearly in Italian to one of the officials. His mechanics are not out on the grid yet to see this car. I don't see any of the Brabham mechanics around this vehicle yet. I think they're working in the car. That's them running up now. You can see the fellows with the white shirts. Yeah. They're running now to the car because they, I think, were trying to, as John Bisignano said earlier, try to do something with the second backup car, which had been cannibalized to make this car a runner. So they're all round the back end. There's Charlie, one of the mechanics there. I can see him. Everybody tentatively looking at that rear end. Two more mechanics come in their blue BMW colored uniforms, as of course this Olivetti Brabham carries the BMW engine. Next year, 1987, it looks like BMW officially are going to withdraw. Their cars are not as 23.460 miles an hour to average. Well, average more than 155 miles an hour around this racetrack with 12 corners, no less. His teammate Nigel Mansell was second fastest in the passive suspension car, not active suspension. Third fastest is Gerhard Berger of Austria, but as I said earlier, more importantly, the fact that he's driving a blood-red Ferrari. Ayrton Senna from Brazil, and I saw a lot of Brazilian flags flying there earlier. Great support from Brazil. Ayrton Senna driving the Camel Lotus Honda. That means that the Hondas are 3 out of 4 so far on the grid. Then you get Alain Prost, the wee man from France, the wee frog as we call him. Very fast, the best driver in the world right now in my eyes. He's fifth fastest, driving the Marlboro McLaren with the tag engine. Sixth fastest, Terry Boutsen, the young Belgian, driving the Ford-powered Benetton. Keep in mind, Benetton, of course, an Italian company that spread itself all the way around the world today. Very important for them to do well. In this staggered grid, and you can see them now lining up. It's going to be a good few minutes before the back end of the grid comes to a complete stop before the official starter, who's on a little rostrum to the right bottom side of your picture. You can see the lights there too, actually. You're seeing the reverse of that picture on the top left-hand side. Now we're still looking for 4 cars to come under orders. Seems a clear grid. Now keep in mind there's a chicane coming up. It could be trouble in the first lap. Look out for that. The green flag is up at the back of the grid to say they're on, and they're ready. Mansell makes a great start. Nigel Mansell and the Ferrari make a great start. Now Piquet picks it up. Piquet's taking advantage. Berger's inside. The two Williams are okay. Prost make a good start. Now for the chicane. Let's see if everybody can keep it clean. One wheel locked up. They're all going through there like one massive traffic jam. One car's over. That's the Leighton car of Capelli you just see going out of the picture. Congratulations. They got through in the first lap of the first corner. That's a break.
I noticed that when the cars were on the grid there, both the Brabham cars have got quite a lot of heavy black smoke out the exhaust. I don't know if they're running the engines too rich.
Well, that could be. So you've got Nelson Piquet, then Nigel Mansell, then Berger at the Ferrari, then comes Prost with the Benetton car pressing him hard. The Benetton car's passed. Butsen's into fourth place, then Prost, then Senna, then Alboreto comes up. As they go through, finished with the Lesmos, go through the left-hander now, approaching the next chicane, another traffic jam, the sparks coming off the titanium skid pads, heavy braking. Got to go through here. The active suspension cars have been going through the chicanes faster all weekend. There's Fabi in the other Benetton car, followed by the two Brabhams. So here the Williams comes down to the Parabolica. The Ferrari's close by of Berger for these two Williams cars. Then comes Boutsen, then Prost, then Senna, then Alboreto, then Johansson, then Fabi, then Patrese. De Cesaris. A clean lap. He passes the start-finishing line for this, and look at the lead that Piquet has pulled out. Very healthy.
It's an amazing lead at this stage.
The active suspension would work better on full tanks, because the great thing is, look how Berger has closed up on Piquet. Berger's having a run at him. As he goes through the first part of this, the Curvo Grande, that used to be taken in top gear flat, very difficult corner, even in the old days, at 1.5 litre, and Berger's making his move. He can't get through. It's a left-hand bend. Oh, and he's over the curb. The Williams car goes over, so does Berger, and through at great speed goes, and that was Prost that flew through.
Berger actually touched the back of the left rear wheel of the Williams there.
Well, we're going to see a replay of that perhaps, but that was confusion. And here you see them here, getting under braking, getting the brakes on. He goes in. Berger got it on the curb there. Then you see the Williams going right over the curb, certainly slowing himself down. There's Boutsen having a run at him. Boutsen has a go. And Boutsen gets through.
Berger's right front actually rolled up on the back of Williams' left rear wheel there. It rolled up quite a long way.
Well, that was really, Mansell really sort of screwed up there, and there you see what happened. The whole course is bunched up behind that melee. It certainly gave Nelson Piquet a tremendous lead there. Then comes Terry Boutsen, then comes Berger, then Mansell, then Prost, then Senna, then Alboreto, then Johansson. Berger going very well, and there, of course, is a man who the Italian crowd are already standing for. He's a young lion. He's somebody that they'll fall in love with instantly if he does well in their beloved Ferrari.
That really was a bad mistake of Mansell's there.
Yeah, very costly at that time in the race, because what occurs then is that obviously he gets stuck behind two other cars and then gets put under pressure from the others. So it leaves now the question to see whether Nigel Mansell is able to now get up into grips again with, first of all, the Ferrari, first of all, the car of Ferrari of Berger, and then the car of Boutsen. The World Championship very much at stake here. It's very important for Nigel Mansell to do well in this World Championship event, because, in fact, at the moment, Nelson Piquet's got a very healthy lead from Ayrton Senna, and then comes Nigel Mansell, but he's a bunch of points behind. He really needs to do well, almost win this race, with Piquet not doing so well.
Earlier on there, I saw Alboreto trying to pressure Senna, but he dropped back slightly. But I think we'll see Alboreto having a go at Senna in a lap or two.
Let's run through the after few laps. Piquet, Boutsen, Berger. Then comes Mansell still in fourth. Prost, Senna, Alboreto, Johansson, Fanny, De Cesaris comes in 10th position. Then comes Patrese, Waring, Dana, Nakajima, Shiva, Nannini, Brundle, Arno, Cassi, Kinzani. The fastest lap so far has been done by Terry Boutsen on lap 2 at 1 minute 32.015. Compare that with the lap time in practice, of course, and it's a mammoth difference. It's 9 seconds slower. But of course, in qualifying, they're running with very little fuel, qualifying boost, and everything set up just to do one fast lap. But Boutsen is certainly impressing a lot of people. There's no question about that.
And that fastest lap was when they had the incident. There was Nakajima off, so there goes the camera car.
Well, there is the camera still running. Nakajima's car's in the sand pit. They're trying to push it away. It is a hazard, so therefore he can get assistance without penalty. Our camera working well. It's the Thompson camera. Been a great help to television coverage in motorsport. There is Boutsen lying in second, followed by Berger. Mansell's opened up a gap on Alan Prost, tightly followed by Senna and Alboreto. Round the Parabolica, and there our camera car is back in motion. He is heading now. This was at the end of the chicane where he had his number, and you may well see the other cars passing him and landing as they head for this first chicane.
What? There's something flown up there. There's something come off one of the cars and flew up in the air. I don't know what it was.
Well, it may be a little bit of body work. We'll have to look and see if we can have any reports on that. Now we're through the turbo branding of this 3.6-mile racetrack. Very wide corner. Heading for another chicane. And there's the bodywork. It's one of the air. It looks like a Ferrari piece.
Yes, it does.
Well spotted, Innes. That is a Ferrari side cone
Yes,
for a radiator cowling.
Yeah, it's part of the side pod.
Now, aerodynamically, that won't do the car a great deal of good. Now, we may see a replay on this if the Italian television channel do as promised, and we can see this coming loose in one of the Ferraris. I can't spot, I suspect, and there it goes. Now you can see it, three-quarter top of your picture, upper right, and there it flies. And that, in fact, is Berger's. It looks like it's Berger's.
Well,
or is it Alboreto's? No, I think it's Alboreto.
Yeah, so do I. But also, it didn't look like it hit anything. I mean, it didn't like... Look, yeah, there it is. You can see it plainly there. The left side pod has gone and the radiator's completely exposed. That will definitely upset the aerodynamics of the car.
It certainly doesn't allow the air to flow over just as easily. So, the Italian Grand Prix continues, and we'll be right back after this. Seems it's one of the spare cars being wheeled away, as are the spare tires at the present. They're loading up the trucks. It's, of course, looking ahead towards the next Grand Prix, which we'll be covering, of course, in ESPN. That'll be the Grand Prix of Portugal. Alain Prost has passed Michele Alboreto. So Prost has now got himself up into 5th place. In fact, 6th place. That means he's in the World Championship points. He's still looking for that 28th Grand Prix victory. It's slow in coming. Everybody expected it to come perhaps at Imola this year, which was in April, but it hasn't been coming. Now Alboreto's under pressure from Johansson, and he's on. It's really, I don't know, Alboreto's having trouble today.
Yeah, but also in this lap, Senna has got past Prost.
So Ayrton Senna in the active suspension Honda engine car is really going on, and you can see Johansson is really climbing all over Michele Alboreto.
I think Alboreto has got to be in trouble with that side of the car. It's going to destroy the air under that side of the car completely.
And of course, air management is one of the most important elements of good road holding and its adhesion. So it's very important to be able to get good aerodynamics. More than 145 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour slower, and look at Johansson. Johansson
looks like.
Here's Senna coming through. Then comes Alboreto.
Yep.
Then comes
And
Johansson.
Fabi's got behind, past that other...
Prost. That looks like Prost is in a mechanical problem of some kind because Gio Fabi has passed him. So after securing 6th place, it looks like Alain Prost is dropping back. He must have a problem. There's Michele Alboreto. Side port missing in the Ferrari. The radiators absolutely bared. And as we pass the start-finishing line, the order will be changed. There, of course, is the Williams. The yellow car, Ayrton Senna. The crowd clapping Michele Alboreto because he's passed Prost. Little did they know it's a mechanical happening. Is Prost coming into the pits? No, he's not. They're waiting for him. The car, they're all standing by, but in fact, has he come past or is he attempting another lap?
I saw a car, I couldn't recognize it, but there's one car was crawling along the side of the road.
That could easily be the car of Alain Prost. The story from Italian television point of view now is the revival of Alboreto, but I think he shortly will be under pressure again from Stefan Johansson. There was some confusion. Johansson, I don't think, wanted to pass his mentor, Alain Prost. He was a little reluctant to do that, but it was clear that Prost has got a mechanical problem.
Now there's one of the Benettons going...
That's past a slow-moving Brabham. The Brabham slow-moving coming down to the Parabolica. He's in trouble. De Cesaris looks like he's in trouble. Is it De Cesaris? Yes. And where De Cesaris is in trouble. The young Italian driver, if Brabham lost racing things here, this young man will be out of a job. And in fact, Alain Prost has been shown as being in 9th position. We'll look out for him. Goodson, Alboreto. Berger, of course, then came Mansell, then Senna, now Alboreto. You can see the difference in the bodywork. Goodson certainly put the pressure on, and we can see now there's a bit of action going on in the pits. That's the De Cesaris Brabham that's in there. Brabham have had a very sad season this year. There were several glows of light when Patrese did well in the Belgian Grand Prix. He did well in qualifying here, in fact, and in some other racetracks, but somehow or other they've not been able to just come up with a beat when it's been needed.
You see Boutsen really putting on pressure. Boutsen's beginning to close really quite a bit on Piquet.
And Alain Prost is definitely now in serious trouble. He's going progressively slower. He's in radio contact with his team. So on radio contact, we've got Nigel Roebuck up here lap charting for us, and he hasn't heard anything dramatic from Alain Prost because he's got a radio hookup. Here's a conversation of the drivers. He's on the same frequency. Prost is dropping back all the time.
It's extraordinary. So early in the race. Look, they've already lapped one of the Ocellas. That's car number 22.
Well, they certainly are eating up the track. Honda Power, but the Ford Power, remarkably, is really in serious contention there. This is interesting, the fact that Boutsen is definitely closing on Piquet. Piquet driving the active suspension Williams. And I mentioned earlier, they've got the Honda engine. They will only have it for the remainder of this season. It looked like there was a bit of puff of smoke there. Let's go down to John Bisignano. John.
Thank you, Jackie. We are right in the McLaren pit. What's happening is they're going to take the engine cover off. That was decided before they ever came into the pit. After 3 years, I finally begun to interpret Ron Dennis's hand signals. As you can see, the bodywork is up in the air. Prost shut off the engine. It did not die. Of course, the tag engineer is looking all over the back of that chassis, trying to find the problem. When he came in, we could not tell if there was a misfire or anything because he coasted the last several feet into the stopping area. So it looks like a long stop. Maybe they have found the problem as the mechanics are going back trying to fit a new piece to the back of that car, but we're certainly disturbing Alain Prost's Italian Grand Prix. It is the black box, Jackie. They have taken out a new Bosch black box. You can see on the top of the chassis they're unscrewing the box, and a new one is on its way in. It's definitely an electrical problem. Back to you, Jackie.
Well, thank you. You see them sticking that black box high up there in the engine. Alain Prost, the patient professional, sitting there waiting for his time to go back out. He may drive a good race and get back into World Championship points, which are important to him, because in the World Championship itself, Alain Prost is sitting in 4th position with 31 points. Piquet's got 54 points, and Piquet, of course, is leading this race at this time. However, he's still in jeopardy from Boutsen. They're back in the pits working, the Porsche tag engineers working on this black box, this electronic magic that's now come to motor racing. And I know there's a new one going in. It's taken abnormally long, I would have thought, to change that. Maybe they had one that didn't spark up immediately. Certainly, it's not American motor racing you're looking at here, because there's enough mechanics round this Formula One car here to eat it without any worry at all. There must be 15 mechanics round this car. So they're certainly working hard. Prost sitting there patiently. He no doubt will be speaking to his team manager. Very cool.
In that picture, yeah, I'm just going to say how very cool he is. Absolutely unconcerned. So calm, collected.
This is what makes him, in my opinion, the best racing driver in the world. Nelson Piquet's in traffic. These are slower cars. He's just landed the Leighton House March car of Capelli. Now slipping past yet another. That looks like Alio's Lola. As he goes through his Honda Power. And look at Boutsen. He's very close. He's within 1.2 seconds of the leader here. Boutsen will catch him now as the accelerator here as we go back into the pits. Prost tightening his gloves back up, getting ready. The engine covers on. He's taking his spare lens off. He's taped extra lenses on in case there's oil coming up. The engine's running. It's a very leisurely pull away from the traffic lights. You see, no, he's shaking his head. He's got a problem. He's talking, he's looking at Ron Dennis, the mastermind of this great team. Marlboro team for next year will, of course, have Ayrton Senna in it. It will no longer have a Porsche tag engine. It will be a Honda. It could be, as Innes Ireland said earlier, the most successful Grand Prix combination that we've seen since Mercedes-Benz were racing in the mid-50s. To have Prost and Senna and a McLaren. Now, John Bisignano, do you have any more for us?
Well, Jackie, it looks like there is another problem besides that of the black box. Alain Prost seems to be extremely calm in the car, but for sure his emotions have to be climbing. The engineers, the tag engineers, this Porsche-designed engine, they're all down looking at the instruments. They are not happy, but Prost is going back out.
So he leaves the pits. Now, in the lapping of those cars, 2.4 seconds is between Boutsen and the leader, Nelson Piquet. We'll be back. This is Jackie Stewart along with Innes Ireland and John Bisignano in the Italian Grand Prix. You're looking at the first chicane going round this 6-mile circuit. Nelson Piquet is still very much in the lead. He's opened his gap up, 2.4 seconds ahead of Terry Boutsen, who's in second place. We're losing Alboreto for the minute. It does look that Michele Alboreto has gone missing. John Bisignano.
Yes, Jackie, we're right down here in the Ferrari pit. Of course, the Ferrari people are going absolutely crazy down here. That left bodywork, left rear bodywork, it looks like it has definitely collapsed. If you remember, that same piece of bodywork came adrift at the Silverstone Grand Prix, the Grand Prix of England a few weeks ago. Michele has shut off the engine. They changed the tires very rapidly, and then they start talking to Michele saying, what else is wrong, folks? Now, besides the aerodynamic problems you were talking about earlier, one of the other problems with that bodywork being gone, of course, is the heating of the radiators, or the overheating of the engine due to inefficiency of the airflow through the radiators. We see one mechanic holding on to a new piece of bodywork to go in there. They're changing the trumpets. It's going to be a very lengthy stop down here. Everyone, it looks like a little bit of confusion. Alboreto out of the car. One Ferrari out of the Italian Grand Prix. Alboreto is out of the car, and at the moment, he looks like he may be out of the Grand Prix.
Okay, John, and you can see there's no fans no problem, but Berger is still very much there. But closing up on Berger now is Nigel Mansell. That's the yellow, white and blue car. There's Boutsen, Piquet's got through, then Berger, then Nigel Mansell. Mansell is definitely pacing himself here now, and he's having a go. Nigel Mansell looking for a way past Gerhard Berger. You're going to see some excitement here. The crowds are going to take a different attitude if this happens. He's just ready for that, and really there is a big difference between Honda power and Ferrari power. In fact, there's a big difference between Honda power and any other kind of power. They seem to just have the edge. They spent endless millions. They threatened to spend $50 million in 1988. And now we'll be looking for Mansell to try and find a slot to slingshot Gerhard Berger. He's very close going into the chicane. He's having a go at him. Berger is fast through the chicane. He almost seems to open up the gap. I don't think Nigel will get him on this part of the racetrack.
One of the things about that bodywork coming off on Alboretto's car, I wouldn't be surprised if it was finger trouble, because the chief mechanic, Alboretto's chief mechanic, was absolutely furious.
Well, I think somebody will have to answer for it, anybody. The Italian press will have somebody. Now look, we're looking for a pass right now, and it goes. And there he goes, Nigel Mansell looking for a way round Berger. He's done it. He's done it. The Italian crowd are standing in front of our commentary position here. Nigel Mansell now gets himself into third position, an important pass in this Grand Prix of Italy. Now he has to stop Terry Boutsen with the Ford power unit, with the Honda, and this is now an attack of the giants. It's Honda versus Ford with Ferrari close by. Here is a replay of the pass. Nigel Mansell getting into the draft, getting into the slipstream. 207 miles an hour. He begins to slingshot. He just catches them as they hit the start-finishing line, gets the momentum. Berger's not giving it to him. Nigel's through now. Then he'll cut straight across. The pass was successful. We've got Nelson Piquet, Terry Boutsen, then you have Nigel Mansell, then Gerhard Berger, Ayrton Senna, and in sixth position, Stefan Johansson from Sweden. He, of course, is having to leave the McLaren team at the end of the season because, of course, Senna is going there. Now back to John Visignano.
Thank you, Jackie. It's a very dejected Ferrari area here. Exactly what happened, that bodywork collapsed, and right over the turbocharger. The turbocharger took in some of the bodywork, that scoop that helps the turbocharger have the air control that needs to run efficiently was damaged when the bodywork broke down, and it ingested right into the turbocharger. Also, some rocks got in there, so the turbocharger went away, and of course that ended Michele Alboretto's race. We tried to get a talk with him. He said, "John, it's so bad to go out of my home Grand Prix. I don't want to talk to anybody." Also, another Italian, Patrese in the Brabham, he is out. The car was never right on the starting grid. There was a problem with the fuel, and it went ahead and demolished the engine. We think it was due to fuel starvation. It went too lean, and the engine simply burned itself to death.
Thank you, John. Well, when we speak of that bodywork coming off, keep in mind that these scoops have wire mesh in front of them to try and stop debris and stones and any foreign matter from getting in there, damaging radiators or getting into turbo intakes. Now you see Nelson Piquet. He's got a healthy lead. Now comes behind him the green car there, second in your picture. That's Terry Boutsen. And look at Nigel Mansell. He's really up behind them. Then the flame red car of Gerhard Berger has had to just really give the racetrack. And they're one of the... Ocello's pulls off. He's off the racetrack. That looks like the end of the day for him. So that's another car out of the race, and we can expect to see no action from him anymore.
It's quite noticeable in the Parabolica there that, how well the Benetton car is handling. Although going into the corner, Nigel was right up his backside.
Oh,
yeah, there he's gone. Yeah, he's gone far. No, he hasn't made it.
It's under braking.
No,
he didn't make it. It's interesting, Innes, that at the end of the power plant, when it looked like the Ford engine just didn't have the amount of horsepower at the end of the straight. It seemed to have at the beginning, but it ran out of breath at the end. Now you can tell Nigel Mansell knows that, and they're coming back onto a fast part of the circuit. He does them under braking. Nigel wasn't leaving anything to spare there, so Nigel Mansell puts himself in now to second position. And yet again, we see the Canon Williams Honda first and second in a Grand Prix. How can Honda give away the Williams team? I simply can't understand it. It doesn't make any sense as we see a replay of Nigel Mansell stalking Terry Boutsen. He gets him into position. Terry looks in his mirror. Mansell comes alongside. He snookers him. There's no way that Terry Boutsen can turn left into a left-hand bend if there's another car in the way. So Nigel Mansell does it with great craft, although slight brutality to the curb.
Over the curb, yeah. But that Benetton car is handled extremely well. As I was saying earlier, around the Parabolica, Nigel was right up the backside of the Benetton going into the corner, and yet halfway around the Benetton just pulled away.
Well, it certainly is true to say that we're having a very active World Championship Grand Prix here in Monza. Continuing coverage in just a few moments. Back at the Italian Grand Prix, you're looking at many happy spectators, and in fact for the Australian Grand Prix, two of you could be in a crowd such as this, because we've got our World Tour sweepstakes, and that's the winning slogan for the Australian Grand Prix competition. That event takes place on the 15th of November, the Formula One finale. To enter the sweepstakes, write the slogan on a card with your name and address and mail it to World Tour Sweepstakes, P.O. Box 911, Ridgely, Maryland, 21683. Two lucky couples will win an all-expenses-paid trip to the Australian Grand Prix, and we've got a pit stop. Let's go right down to John.
Nigel Mansell, he's in the pits. It's one of the fast. No, they have trouble on the right rear. They had to put another wheel on there. Nigel Mansell came into the pits. They had everything going very smoothly. The right rear, they had to grab another tire, a whole nother wheel section. They're getting set up for Piquet, but it took two wheels on that right rear to get Mansell out. We had about a good 7-second pit stop until that problem. Mansell is on the track. Piquet will be in on around the next time in.
Okay, that was an 11.6-second pit stop instead of maybe only an 8-second pit stop. Nelson Piquet will give it 2 laps before he comes in. That's the general rule. It was his privilege to choose when he came in. He chose to be the first Williams driver to come in, and he said he would come in on lap 22, which he still may do. So it could well be that we will see 1 lap of him going around, and then he will come in. I was just telling you about our great sweepstakes here on ESPN. You know, this trip to Australia, all expenses paid for a weekend of the festivities surrounding the race. The winning names will be chosen by random drawings, by the way. The most important thing is to get your entries in by the 25th of September. They must be received by then for you to be eligible for this draw. Try and come and see it in Australia. You'll see a great race. It's a fantastic country.
There's that great battle that we've just seen the 2 blue cars go by of Genzani and his teammate.
And look what's happened here. Berger's been passed while we were away for commercial. Berger has been passed by Senna, who is now closing up on Boutsen. So this is a whole tight setup we're seeing here. That's the car of Fabi, the Benetton. The Benetton car of Fabi is still further back, but certainly it's been very tight. There goes Ayrton Senna. Then comes Terry Boutsen, and then closing on Boutsen is Berger. And of course Mansell is behind Berger on the track because of Mansell's pit stop. So you've got Piquet, Boutsen. You've got Piquet, Boutsen with Senna there ahead of Boutsen now. So it's Piquet, Senna, another Brazilian in second place, then Berger, then the Boutsen, Berger, and then Mansell. Sorry for the confusion, but it's all happened very quickly here.
Mansell's going to be, when he's about 28 seconds behind Piquet. So when Piquet comes in at this pit stop, it'll be fairly close, I would have thought.
It will be, but Piquet's built up a very hefty lead. This is a great caps-off display by Williams to come out with an active suspension car. It's first ever race. It had gone to test. And there's Benetton. Butsen's in the pits, it looks like. I don't know whether John Bisignano is down near that pit, but that is a story on its own. We're going to watch at the top right-hand corner of our screen. And he goes on. Butsen rejoins the race. He's gone.
9.96 seconds.
And that's a real close effort that's going on there. Butsen softly came out the pit lane. And look at this race here. Butsen with Berger. My God, that's the Fermi Laporte in the real terms. He gave him a chop in a major way. The young Austrian driver had to sit down and just take it from the Belgian driver, Terry Butsen, showing, to say the least, a high degree of maturity. But no, Berger's going to do it, but no, he can't. Butsen's chopped him again. You are seeing aggressive motor racing. Incidentally, one of the Honda Lotuses has been in. Nakajima's gone in for tyres, and he's back out on the racetrack.
And we've got a new fastest lap by Mansell of 1:27 on lap 23.
So Mansell with fresh tyres is going quickly, and incidentally, Butsen will be able to go quicker also. John Bisignano in the pits.
The tyre warmers are off, and Piquet, the leader of this Italian Grand Prix, is into the pits. A very efficient Williams team that got all 4 tyres off. I don't see anyone with a hold up. It's going to be a quick, no, left rear, I can't believe it. They've got it down on the ground. Piquet's got the sign to go, and he's out of here.
Well, Piquet took an almost leisurely 13.6 seconds of time in the pits, which is too long. I'm afraid they've lost their edge on pit stops because Nelson Piquet, the Williams team, and look at this, this is it, the two Williams cars neck and neck now on the racetrack, both with fresh rubber on. That's something. So here we're going to see a set of circumstances now which will be a demonstration of what's happening between active suspension and passive suspension. Nelson Piquet with the active car. They ran the car at Imola in testing, did full Grand Prix distance, and it went very successfully. It was decided to give it to Nelson Piquet.
Of course, here we've got Piquet out on his tyres, not really up to racing temperatures, so Mansell has got a chance of getting past on this lap.
Well,
I don't think he's going to make it.
Here's a situation as they get past a slower car. That's a Minardi as they go down in unison, down the long straight towards the Parabolica. If there's any passing to be done, it's one good place to choose. Look at this, jockeying for position. Nelson Piquet, followed by Nigel Mansell. As they come up, round, exiting the Parabolica in 5th gear, getting it into 6th gear as they come up to the start-finishing line. Nelson Piquet, followed by Nigel Mansell, going into the first chicane, and I don't see anything really big happening now unless Nigel gets very, very aggressive. It looks like another Honda is in the Camel car in the pits. Is it one of the Camel cars? It is. Is it Senna or is it Nakajima?
Nakajima was in before. No, that's one of the Minardi.
Minardi's another yellow car with a black bottom.
One of the things that I think, that has caused this slow pit stop, the reason that Mansell lost his wheel was the pegs. Because they're always having pit stops, they've got the PEDs with quite a sloppy clearance for a quick wheel change. The first time they ran through non-stop was at Silverstone, and even then Piquet ran non-stop, and even at the end of that race they found the wheel nut wasn't as tight as it should have been. Then in Hungary rather, Mansell lost his wheel nut, and it's the sloppy clearance business. So now they've stopped that, they've gone back to what they ought to, proper fit, and maybe that's why they've had these two very, very slow pit stops.
Well, maybe John Bisignano can find out what the opinion of the engineers are for their long pit stops, because they've had trouble both times with both Williams cars. Now, keep in mind that Ayrton Senna has not been in the pits yet. He's still leading this race, and he's got a 14-second advantage over everybody else. Now, although you see a fast pit stop being done in between 7 and 12 seconds, you've got to slow down to get into the pits, and then you've got to accelerate out. So it's usually about 28 seconds for total time.
Yep.
So really, Senna, although he's still on the racetrack, keeping his tyres cool, he of course is only going to be temporarily in that condition. He will come in and do a pit stop for tyres. Even with the active suspension, he cannot go the full distance on the same set of tyres.
Nigel, as you see, is losing a bit of distance to Piquet, and in the chicanes he's losing it for himself because he's banging all over the curbs.
In addition to which, Piquet and Senna both say that their speeds through the chicanes are faster because of the active suspension. Although in that, oh, look at Mansell went right over the curb there. He took to the country. He didn't just do the curb, he took whatever else was available. Nigel just gets a wee bit too excited sometimes and just tends to overdrive. The World Championship's at stake here, but to win the World Championship, you've got to finish.
We've still got this battle going on, Jackie, look, between Boutsen and Berger.
Well, that is an interesting one, because Boutsen, of course, has got the fresh tyres. Has Berger been in for tyres yet? Berger, I don't think he has. He's been in for rubber. Yeah, I think he's been in. So they're both on relatively fresh rubber. That's going to be an interesting thing. I think it's great for this Benetton team to be as competitive as they are. I spoke to the Ford engine people, and they said that they didn't think they had a fuel problem. So that'll be interesting to make sure for them that they can do the full distance, because the suggestion was that Ferrari did have a slight fuel consumption problem, and Williams were saying that they had to lean off quite a lot. So, Nigel Mansell, let's have a look at this. We're going to see a replay of him going off the road. Now look at the top left-hand side of your screen right now. Look at Nigel Mansell taking to the country. It looks like some sort of equestrian event. He looks like he's going in on a steeplechase course. He really gets right off the racetrack. He can sometimes damage the underside of the car by doing that. It's really not prescribed. It's not the thing to do.
And it's a fairly big old curve right there. Quite a high curve, so as you say, he could have damaged the underside.
Curbs are there to be avoided. They're there to show the outside of a corner or the inside of a corner. And there you see this great battle between the two young lions, Terry Boutsen, who's now driving the Benetton, and Gerhard Berger, who last year drove the Benetton. He left the Benetton team to drive for Ferrari. These two are certainly in a great battle. That's Christian Danner there with the West Zakspeed car. There's one of the Ligier cars going through, the Curvo Grande taken very smoothly, one of the great corners of the racetrack. Before the chicanes were in, it was even greater. God forbid if he ever went off the road, though.
Piquet's gradually closing on Senna. He's making up maybe, I don't know, half a second.
He's still 10.25 seconds behind, though, and that's something. Senna's holding the pace. Of course, he really knows he's going to have to come into the pits. And now they get into traffic. Piquet has opened up on Nigel Mansell as he comes up by Ivan Capelli, driving the March on the Leighton House colours, the Japanese investment house, who are heavily into motor racing now, sponsoring this team. He pulls out to get past the normally aspirated Ford engine, 3.5 litres. Piquet, of course, driving the 1.5 litre turbocharged engine made by Honda. Also is Piquet and Nigel. Now the battle coming up. This is Ghinzani in one of the Ligier cars. He's tightly pressed. There is Terry Boutsen putting on past Ghinzani. Eddie Cheever is out of the race. The US F&G Arrow car. He chucks the steering wheel into the cockpit, looks at the rear end. So the Megatron engine may or may not be the problem. It could be a transmission problem. And there Nigel Mansell goes through, followed by a slowing, as far as pace is concerned, Nigel Mansell. Piquet leads the Grand Prix of Italy. Nigel Mansell is second. And we'll be right back for more. Right, we're back at the Italian Grand Prix. I gave you a little bit of misinformation. I said that Piquet was leading this race, but the distance between the two of them is only 5.5 seconds now. However, while we were at break, Nigel Roebuck of Autosport, who is doing our lap chart up here, has got a link to the two-way radio that he can listen in, and he heard Peter Warr of Lotus send one of his mechanics to see Lee Gogg of Goodyear to ask the question, can Ayrton's tyres do the full distance? So Ayrton must have been on the radio saying, I think the tyres feel good. I think I can do the whole race. What does Goodyear think? Now there is a big one, but whether that's going to be the case, only time will tell. Certainly at this time, Nelson Piquet is closing up on Ayrton Senna. Nigel Mansell has dropped a little way behind. The battle behind, however, is going on with Terry Boutsen still leading, Gerhard Berger driving the Ferrari. Boutsen, of course, in the Ford-engine Benetton. The Ferrari, blood red, with a Ferrari engine, the great giant of the motor industry, Fiat, very much involved. Like I said to you, Ennis Ireland was pointing out to me that there's a great battle going on farther down the field.
It's the battle for the non-turbocharged cars. Alio is leading it at the moment, although he's 2 laps behind the leader, and Streff in the Tyrrell car with the 3.5-litre Ford engine is only 1 second behind. So there's a good battle going on in that section of the race.
Now let me just explain to you, there are in a way 2 world championships running this year for the constructors and for the drivers. It's called the Colin Chapman Trophy, and that is for the normally aspirated engines. They pick up points also. Ken Tyrrell as a constructor has already clinched that championship. There's also a thing called the Jim Clark Trophy for the drivers of non-aspirated, non-turbocharged engines, and that is being led by Jonathan Palmer right now. Philip Streff, his own teammate, is second. Then comes Alio and Capelli. But the battle that Innes points out is in fact for 14th and 15th place, way down the field. Nothing to affect Nigel Mansell, who you're looking at right now, going through what used to be the Ascari corner while his teammate is entering the Parabolica. There you see Nigel Mansell. His car is definitely more twitchy over bumps than the active suspension car of Piquet. Active suspension I've been working a little bit with recently, and it's a computerized suspension system that compensates for bumps or potholes or undulations, even roll inside the car, and keeps the ride height of the car consistent. And this, of course, is very important to a racing driver. There is Ayrton Senna, the leader of this Italian Grand Prix. Young Brazilian, 27 years of age, not as young as he was, is going to be leaving the Lotus team this year, is going to join Alain Prost with the McLaren team, who will have, as we have said more than once today, have the Honda engine. That means that the Porsche people who have produced the tag engine will be left without a user. It may be that one of the larger companies will look towards Porsche, and we're seeing a pass there. Berger slipped past Boutsen in the chicane under braking. Terry Boutsen has been passed by Gerhard Berger. Will he attempt to get him as they now go through the Corpo Grande heading to the Lesmos? This is the Lesmos they're in. It's the right hand of the Lesmos. Then a long fast section now. They'll accelerate up to more than 200 miles an hour as they head towards another chicane. And Berger's taking full advantage. You just wait and hear what the crowd have to say about this in the main grandstand around the start-finishing line here. Gerhard Berger, the young, good-looking man, tall for a race driver, almost too tall actually. Now with his Ferrari, and as you will probably see as they go down here, you'll see waving flags because the fans certainly know how to roll along. Through the Parabolica, he's taken his advantage. And look at the flags begin to wave. All the crowd knows it. They're all cheering in front of our coming to position here. He slipped past another car. That's one of the slower Minardi cars. Oh yes, he's got ahead of Boutsen. He's done it. So he gets into 4th position. That gives him a 4th position, which is 3 points in the World Championship, and the race is fast. Passes the Minardi.
I've just noticed, Jackie, the last couple of laps, Piquet hasn't actually been closing up on Senna.
Maybe he's
still
happy.
about 6.5 seconds behind.
One thing about Nelson Piquet is he does drive with intelligence, and he must know that Ayrton Senna is going to plan a pit stop.
Well, but if Goodyear come back and say, yes, he can go the whole race, he's not catching up.
Well, maybe he's taking the pressure off a little bit. They said that it's a balance, maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. I would think that Piquet would leave his attack until later in the race.
There's that big curve, Jackie, a good shot of the curve that Mansell went crashing over. You see, it's a pretty big old curve.
Yeah, it is indeed.
And left lapping some of the tail enders. Look.
I might just tell you, our ears to the pit say that Senna's going to try and go the distance. Let's ask John Visignano what he has down in the pit.
Thank you, Jackie. We actually just went to see Lee Gogg, the international manager for Formula One as far as Goodyear tires go. The thing is, Senna has the last call on this, Jackie. He's out there on the track. The car is not sliding around to a point where he's getting eaten up by Piquet at the moment. They've had these tire blankets on and off these tires 4 times. We've been standing here for 15 minutes, but at the moment, they're going to let Senna decide if he's coming in and when. Back to you, Jackie.
The McLarens come in. One of the McLarens have gone in there,
Well,
so that can only be Johansson because he's the only one at this stage. And there you see Gordon Murray, the tall designer there, and he's gone out. Stefan Johansson back in the race. Well, Nigel Roebuck, if you're listening to me down in the pits, John, Nigel Roebuck said that on his two-way radio, he heard Senna saying that he's going to try and go the distance. So, looking at the Italian Grand Prix, Ayrton Senna leads, Nelson Piquet second, Nigel Mansell's third, Berger's fourth, Butsen's fifth, and Johansson sixth. Italian Grand Prix. That man is Ayrton Senna from Brazil, driving the Camel Honda Lotus. He's got himself a healthy lead. He's going to try and do the full distance on one set of tires. Everyone else has already been in the pits. They came in from about the 20th lap onwards to get fresh rubber. He feels he can do it on one set. That's a brave move. It may be a race-winning move. The fastest lap so far has been done by Nelson Piquet. At a speed of 1:27 seconds, which is 1 minute 27, which is an average speed of 148 miles an hour. So that was lap 37, and we've now done 38 laps. So certainly Piquet is putting on the ante. He's now just over 5 seconds behind him as we see a slow-moving car heading for the pits. It is not one of the front runners, one of the Minardi cars. That was Nannini or Caffi, I think. And there is our camera-mounted car of Nakajima. The RAI, that's the Italian television system, has picked up.
Oh, Jackie, look at that.
Well, now that's a picture of my son there. This is Paul Stewart, who's at Duke University. On the right is Helen Stewart, and Jackie Stewart's the little fella with glasses. They had a wedding anniversary of 25 years the other day. And Mark is on the left-hand side. He's an actor now. My God.
Did that scare you to death, seeing your son in a car?
I thought it was a pit shot. I thought he had gone into the Italian Grand Prix for new tires or something. No, my son's been driving Formula Ford this year. We've got another Stewart in the family driving, and of course, as you are aware, it's not new to motor racing to have sons follow their fathers, as we see from the Andrettis and the Juncers and the Vukovic's and the Brabhams and Derek Bell, the world champion of sports cars, who's a young driver. His son is racing, Justin Bell. It's becoming a traffic jam of fathers and sons in the pit lane. Anyway, Paul's enjoyed his racing, but of course his ultimate aim, I suppose, would be to get into Grand Prix racing. And those are the guys who are doing the job right now. The man in the centre of the picture, Gerhard Berger, who's lying in 4th position. He's been followed by the Italian television as a long love affair with Italian red they do have. And he, of course, is setting Nakajima up for a pass. Nakajima's got a camera in his car. We haven't seen much of it today. But
we had that very good shot of him stuck in the sand.
yeah, that was wonderful, but that could have been Coney Island. I'd like to see him driving. So,
Jackie, for several laps, Nelson was holding a gap of about 6.5 seconds. He suddenly started to go quicker. He's just done another fastest lap, and he's got the gap down to about 5.5 seconds. So I think somebody's told him he's going to have to get a move on because Senna's probably going to stay out there.
and here we have Berger getting past the superior power plant of Nakajima. He did it under braking. Nakajima clearly doesn't have the skills or the driving knowledge and experience of Berger in Formula One racing, even though Nakajima is much older than Berger. Berger is one of those great seat-of-the-pants drivers who certainly is talented. You saw a little vortex there from the rear wing. The humidity is rising here at Monza, and you can see the vapor trail coming from the rear wing of that Ferrari. Gerhard Berger continues on his way to a fourth position. Up front, we've got Ayrton Senna with 5.5 seconds and a little bit more ahead of Nelson Piquet. So we've got Brazilians in first and second position. Our man in the pits, John Visignano, has a story for us. John?
Thank you, Jackie. Let's talk about rear wheel nuts for a moment. This is what they look like. It's one big nut that holds on the whole rear wheel. Now, if you remember in Hungary, the Williams team also had problems here. The problem is that there's so much heat back here from on this corner of the car. This is your carbon fiber disc, the caliper for the brake. This can actually blow red hot on heavy braking areas of the circuit. Then it cools down, hopefully down the long straightaways. But when they come in for the pits, they've got those brakes on. These discs are red hot. This metal expands, and they use the air pack to try and get that nut off, and sometimes they just lock up. That's how a 7-second pit stop can be turned into a 12-second pit stop.
John, thank you very much. A very informative piece. While you've been away, Nelson Piquet has closed the gap to about 4.5 seconds now, and we've had a spin by Philippe Alliot, and he's got stuck in the sand. This is the gravel to stop cars from going far in deep gravel, but sometimes it can be your dismiss also.
And he was the chap who was leading the normally aspirated engine car.
Now, Nelson Piquet continues his way around this racetrack. I might just tell you, we've just heard on the radio that the Lotus pit think that Nelson Piquet's right rear is blistered. His right rear tire is blistered. They are speculating this. Piquet's put the pressure on. Maybe he will come into the pits to change tires again. John Visignano, but you've got another story.
Thank you, Jackie. We have the only American in this Italian Grand Prix, Eddie Cheever. Again, about 2/3 distance. What caused your stoppage this time?
It's actually the first time for us. We had a drive shaft break. A right drive shaft. I think it's probably because of all the curves here. And you lose about half a second a lap if you don't at least go on them. And the drive shaft, the right drive shaft broke about half a lap after I came in to change tires. It was a pity because we had the fuel situation in hand, and I was waiting for the fuel load to get a lot lighter, but a bad day for us.
Let me ask you, Eddie, when that drive shaft breaks, it can also send the car a little bit out of control. Was that a problem, or were you able to keep it straight?
No, I was still in second gear, but I was going very slow. I was coming out of one of the many chicanes that have destroyed Monza.
and your car, Eddie Cheever, who lives in Italy, out of the race that he wanted to win most this year, well, besides Detroit.
Thank you, John, and it'll be a spectating job for Eddie Cheever. We're going to come back to give you more coverage of the Italian Grand Prix after this. Thank you very much, Jack. This is a new picture we're seeing. The man that was in the lead is this man, and look what happened. Just a few moments ago, he had a big problem coming into the Parabolica. I don't know whether he missed his braking distance, but he went right over the grass, right into the sand pit. I think he may have got involved with that slower car, which I think is Ghinzani. He kept the car under control. He nearly went into the tire wall. I hope he hasn't breathed in any of that stuff into the engine, because that could be a big mess. He kept the car going. It's coming out of the right-hand side of your screen right now. You can just see the shadow of Ayrton Senna. And look at this. He gets the car sideways. It looks as if it was under braking. He lost control. The car certainly was weaving, as we see again another replay of him entering this problem. From a winning position in the Italian Grand Prix, he just got it very loose. Look at the car on the inside making a pass now. That looks like Ghinzani on the inside. I don't think he seemed to be involved. And there you see Senna. He was lucky to get out of this because he could have got stuck in that very deep sand, and that could have been the end of his day. Again, they're showing a replay of this happening. He's working the steering wheel. He's trying to bring the car under control again. Keep in mind that you enter the Parabolica doing about 200 miles an hour. It's a place that definitely goes wrong. And there you see one of the Data General cars almost taking off
Mansell.
Mansell. That, oh my goodness, that was Dr. Jonathan Palmer, and Mansell will be extremely upset with him because Mansell, keep in mind, is in third position. The new order is Nelson Piquet leading the race. Ayrton Senna is second, but he's now 7.9 seconds behind. Then Nigel Mansell, then Berger, then Butch, and then Johansson, then Fabi, then Ghinzani, and then Christian Danners in 9th place, with the top 10 being made up with René Arnoux.
When we saw the replay of Senna going off, that left front wheel, it didn't look right to me. I can't exactly say what I thought was wrong with it, but he's still hammering on.
Well, he's certainly trying to come on. He just passed Philip Streff and the Data General, of course, Tyrrell. He's going through the Parabolica. He doesn't look like he's coming into the pits. He's staying out. Radio contact, no doubt, with his pits. I don't know whether Nigel Roebuck's heard anything of that, but still staying out. And he's now 8.6 seconds behind as he tries to climb back up. He passes again Ghinzani, who you saw slipping under him when he went off the track in the Parabolica. That gives you some idea of how long it's taken him to get the pace back up again. There's only 5 laps left in this race, 5 laps left to complete in this Italian Grand Prix.
Mansell's 9 seconds behind Senna now, in 3rd place. So whether he can make up 9 seconds in 5 laps, I don't know. But even if he gets on his tail, he's still got to get past.
Well, it looks to me like, in fact, Senna is losing about half a second a lap on Piquet, and no doubt Piquet has backed off now. There you see the car of Nelson Piquet going through the chicane. He's the new leader, Brazilian driver, leading the World Championship. If he wins this, he's going to be in very good position. There you see Ayrton Senna in the background. He's lying in 2nd place. He'll be putting on the pressure right now. Brazil 1st and 2nd. John, can you hear me down there, John?
Yes, Jackie, we're here with Lee Gog this time live. Lee, you think Senna is making the right decision staying out there, especially you just saw him slide off the Parabolica. How much grip can he have left in those tires?
Well, actually, our recommendation was for a tire stop, John, as you probably know. Most of the other people have stopped. I think his only chance, he's taken a gamble like he did once before. It depends on how bad his tires are right near the end, whether he can hang on or not.
Well, he has 5 laps to go. I don't think he's going to come in now with 5 laps to go.
No. I think he was committed maybe 8-10 laps ago to stay out and just see what happens.
Is there any extra danger in that, Lee? I mean, the car's beginning to slide around, the wear's going further and further, heat buildup.
No, we told him before, there won't be a danger of wearing them out. It's just a matter of the performance should fall off near the end.
Well, the Goodyears can go the distance as long as they can keep performing. Back to you, Jackie.
Well, Ayrton Senna is now catching up Nelson Piquet by about half a second a lap. We'll be right back for the finish of this race in a moment. This is Jackie Stewart back at the Italian Grand Prix, and this is the battle with only 2 laps to go. Ayrton Senna is closing up with 2 laps to go. He's about 2 seconds behind Nelson Piquet. Keep in mind, this week in sports comes up following this program. Alan Massingale will be your host as the flags from Brazil. They're sitting 1st and 2nd in this race. A lot is happening, and there's only 2 laps of the Italian Grand Prix. You, of course, with Race Day America, is going to enjoy an enormous amount of motorsport here. You've got the kart bending Trans Am, you've got the NASCAR Southern 500, you've got the kart Escort Raider Warning 200. That's all coming to you today. You've got a lot coming to you. But this is what's coming to the racers here. There is Piquet and there is Senna. You see them in the picture now. And as they come to the finishing line, this time it will only be 1 lap to go. 1.5 laps from here. There's a slow-moving car on the left-hand side. It's one of the Minardis.
he looks as if he's out of fuel.
Well, this is an active Grand Prix in a big way. It's an active suspension car leading. It's an active suspension car in second place. Modern technology is taking up. I might just quickly mention something that I should here as they go on to the very last lap. One sad moment to recognize. Didier Pironi, the wonderful French driver who used to drive for Ferrari, died since the last Grand Prix in a boat race on the coast of England. Didier Pironi, a wonderfully gentle man who suffered terrible injuries, died in a motor boat accident, an offshore boat, and we should just recognize that and of course extend our sympathy to many fans who loved him and of course to his family. The Italian Grand Prix is in its final lap. This is the last lap. Nelson Piquet of Brazil going through, gently through that chicane, followed by the yellow car, the Camel car, both in Honda engines on this final lap.
I don't think it looks pretty set now. I don't think either of them can have a fuel problem, so it looks pretty set.
And a new fastest lap of 1:26 seconds put up by Senna. He's doing everything he can to do it as he comes up. Piquet laps Fabi in the Benetton car. He's only got one more corner left after this, the Parabolica. It can't be done unless something serious happens. Senna's tried everything. He's driven a brilliant race. He never stopped for tyres. Piquet did. Piquet comes into the braking area of the Parabolica. Famous corner. This is the same corner that Senna went off the road and lost the Italian Grand Prix, we can say. The checkered flag is up on the right-hand side. You're looking for a winner here. The checkered flag goes up. He didn't get it. They didn't give him the checkered flag. It's one more lap to go. The starter is looking lost. He's looking everywhere. The checkered flag is out, not to Senna, Piquet, or anybody else. He's being waved. He's giving the checkered flag to everybody else, but he did not give it to the winner. Has Piquet backed off? Will Senna try to pass him? Do they know that the end of the race has happened, or do we know that it's happened? It is the end of the race because of the lap chart, and there is Senna's car stopped, or is that Nakajima's?
Nakajima, I think. No, it's Senna. It's Senna.
Senna's run out of gas, I'll bet you. He's run out of gas, and Nakajima has stopped for him.
Yeah, and right in the middle of the track.
And there's Nakajima.
Man.
And there's
Piquet's still going full bore.
Well, I don't know if he is going full bore.
Well, he was when he went through the chicane, Jackie. He was still getting it.
I have to say this is a little bit of Italy here. The cars are all slowing down. The checkered flag is being showed to everybody else and being shown to everybody else, sorry. But in fact, it was not shown to the winner of this race that should be Nelson Piquet, or was it shown to the man in second place, and that, of course, is Ayrton Senna. The information that we have right now, let me run through the top 10.
There's Piquet gone off.
Piquet's gone off, and that I think is that is them going off to go back the short lap for scrutineering, maybe. Let me give you the top 10 now. Nelson Piquet is winning the Grand Prix subject to confirmation. Second place is Ayrton Senna. Third place is Nigel Mansell. Fourth place is Gerhard Berger. Fifth is Terry Boutsen. In sixth position is Stefan Johansson picking up a World Championship point. Then comes Theo Fabi in seventh position. Ghinzani is ninth. Danner is 10th. Arno is 10th, sorry. Nakajima is 11th. Streff, Capelli, Palmer, and the rest of them. And look at this freeze frame. There you see the car passing the start-finishing line. The official starter-finisher is up there with a checkered flag that is not being rolled out or shown to Nelson Piquet. A great oversight in this Italian Grand Prix. It does seem that Piquet's points in the World Championship will now put him, incidentally, into a commanding lead at 63 points. Then comes Ayrton Senna with 49 points. Mansell is 43 points. Alain Prost is 31 points. Johansson is 20 points and well out of it. So as the taxi of the Camel Honda Lotus goes back, we'll come back to give you more of a picture. Well, this is Jackie Stewart at the end of the Italian Grand Prix. The crowd are already walking down the racetrack, wanting to see the celebrations that will take up on the victory rostrum in just a few minutes. The top six once again in the ending of this Italian Grand Prix, and you can see a preponderance of Brazilian flags. After all, a Brazilian is first and another one is second. So Nelson Piquet wins the Grand Prix of Italy. In second place, Ayrton Senna from also Brazil. Third place from the United Kingdom is Nigel Mansell. He's driving the Williams Cannon with the Honda engine. And then in fourth place, much to the delight of the Italians, is Gerhard Berger driving an Italian Ferrari. In fifth place is Terry Boutsen of Belgium with the Benetton car and the Ford power plant. Then in sixth place, the final 1 point in the World Championship points rating for this race goes to Stefan Johansson of Sweden, driving the Marlboro McLaren with the TAG engine. The racetrack that was just a few minutes ago red hot with racing machinery is now a mass of people. Look at that Ferrari flag flying. Look at them there. I don't know what that message says, but it looks like Piquet's on there somewhere. I reiterate to you again that Nelson Piquet takes even a more commanding grip on the World Championship. That for him is an important issue. If he had finished second, he wouldn't have picked up any points because of the peculiar World Championship situation where you have to give away a certain number of points per year. But by winning this race, he collects 63 points in total for this year. Ayrton Senna, lying in second place right now, has 49 points, as I said earlier. Nigel Mansell is 43 and getting very distant. We still have the Grand Prix of Portugal, of Spain, of Japan, and of Australia still to come, as well as Mexico. So we've got 5 Grand Prix still to run. John Bisignano must be in a crowded pit area now. John, are you with us?
I'm with you, Jackie. We're trying to protect ourselves down here a little bit of this enthusiastic crowd. One of the gentlemen most enthusiastic, Frank Durney. Frank, how do you come up with an active suspension? Lotus has been trying to get this thing to work for virtually years, and your first time out on a race, well, you beat them. You don't beat them bad, but still, the first time out for the Williams active suspension.
Well, we had a good race. We've been working out a long time too. A lot of people at Williams have put a lot of hours in on our system, and I think theirs is a very good system. We beat them in a very close race.
Can you tell us very simply, how does an active suspension work?
Not very simply. It'd be impossible to tell very simply, but the main idea is to keep the car ideally suspended, depending on whether it's going high speed or low speed, full of fuel or without fuel.
One thing I've always thought about is if that active suspension is working around a very fast corner and the thing switches off, is not the car and the driver going faster than the capability once that active suspension turns into a normal suspension? A dangerous situation?
It's not a normal suspension, and sure, any failure on a racing car can be dangerous. Burst tire, failed suspension, any suspension failure is always dangerous.
Frank, after all this work and all the money you spent on it, now, is this going to be a situation where all teams must go to an active suspension to be competitive?
I don't think it's that vital. It depends, really. I think it's a better system. How much better, I still think remains to be seen.
Will both cars have it from now on?
We're building another car.
Frank Durney, you've always been a wealth of information, but that's the most information you're ever going to get out of a Williams winner, and we can understand why. Thank you very much, Frank.
Well, thank you, John Bisignano, for yet again a good piece of reporting in the pits. The crowd here are many. We're going to come back and you're going to see a little more of this race. ESPN's Race Day America coverage of the Italian Grand Prix has been brought to you by BF Goodrich TA Radios. We make your car perform. By Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer. By Acura Legend and Integra, exclusively at your Acura dealer. And by USF&G Financial Services. What a scene there is here. I've won the Italian Grand Prix a couple of times, and if there was one race where you feel the public are with you, it's a fantastic feeling to be up on that victory rostrum. One of the great moments in sport. And there, 2 Brazilians stand where their national anthem is played, and Nigel Mansell also stands as the man who finished third, he in the red. So what a day it has been here. Hot and hard racing. Brazilian to the core, first and second. We at ESPN, particularly Innes Ireland, and John Bisignano and myself, thank you once again for staying in. Nigel Robert for his valuable lap charting, he being from Autosport. And now we'll return you to the United States of America and Jack Arute.